Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
you brought up a couple good points there.
Yeah.
One of them is antibiotics. There's a lot of people who feel pressure to give antibiotics even when it's not really necessary.
Right.
Because they want a fix, and a lot of times antibiotics aren't necessary. You have the flu. Antibiotics don't do anything for that.
Right.
I wanted to touch on something like that because now I touched on the scam. Like you brought up the thing about mechanics of scams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not saying all, but I've heard it said that a lot of times that there's incentives on behalf of the doctors or nurses, not nurses necessarily, but the doctors, people who prescribe medication when they're looking at people, that there's incentives by the drug companies to try to, you know,
Like push
those
I have a
types
story
of
about
things.
that.
Even if
That's a good,
sometimes if the person
concern,
doesn't
right?
necessarily need it, or you know, not necessarily medications, but maybe just drugs in general, and they try to, you know, is that true? Is that
So what I
happening?
can say is I have personally never worked at a facility where that was even
that's
mentioned.
right.
However, you do get reps, and I'll tell you a lot of times there's so many stringent rules on what a rep can and can't do anymore. Like
That's good.
Like a lot of times they would literally back in like the 90s, they would take doctors on a cruise line to talk about like Viagra or something.
Right,
like that.
right.
All right.
So certainly at one point there might have been, but I think those days are gone. Honestly,
Good.
Yeah.
Where that was an incentive. Most of the time they don't want to give out antibiotics when they don't need. A lot of times it's pressure from parents. Think, oh, my kid needs an antibiotic. Even if they don't, they feel pressured to give it. Otherwise, they're going to get knocked for not giving good care.
Yeah. All right.
So I have a clarification question. Is this sketchy or not? So when I was living in Los Angeles,
Yeah, that's sketcy.
Yeah, I agree with
sketchy.
Joe. Unanimous.
That's sketchy.
so yeah, I had at the end when I was about to graduate, I was in Los Angeles. I had this experience, and like I didn't know what was wrong with me. With like I knew something was up physically, but I wasn't sure. Turns out it was really bad panic attacks.
Oh, wow, Brian.
Yeah, it was like it went on for a few months, but I'm over it now, obviously. But what do you call it? I went to this urgent care to be like, you know, okay, I need to like, I don't know, I just need to go to a doctor just to make myself feel better. And like no prior history of anxiety I've ever had. There's no like records that say like, you know, I've been given prescriptions before, treated before. I walked away that day with a prescription for Valium.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so that's the kinds of things.
Now, how long ago was that? Like,
This was when did I graduate? I want to say spring of 2018.
Okay.
wow, that really surprised me because
And I got it for like under $1 because of the health insurance.
yeah, it's not expensive.
Yeah,
So
I'm
I
talking
literally
about-
could have been a drug dealer.
I'm talking about more of those types.
But
of things, you know?
no, I mean honestly, there's been a lot of things done actually to really get rid of that, and sometimes it's 180 so much that it's actually to the detriment of healthcare.
Yeah.
I can tell you, there's a lot of places I work at, and even if it's needed, they won't even give it for like a day.
Yeah.
But it's because I think it's been so overly abused, and a lot of them, they might not even have a rule saying you can't do it, but they'll just say it is to get pressure off of them from a patient.
I was
Right.
shocked.
But
Do you have any more
or
of
they'll
that
just
Valium
treat
left?
like,
No, well, see, the thing is I didn't want to take
oh,
it.
you're
'cause
so
I'm like,
relaxed today.
I'm
Joe.
like, this is not. I don't know if this is like sketchy or not.
You weren't really ready for it, too. That's
No, that really is a surprise to me.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, there are warning signs for that too. It's like you'll see some people, and I think I really feel, and I'm being as earnest as possible, I think they're trying to get rid of the old school provider mentality, because there were people like that who would put you on an anxiolytic or a benzodiazepine such as like Valium or lorazepam or
Xanax
diazepam,
or
right?
Yeah.
Those medications work. Absolutely, they work. But they also come with a large side effects and addiction,
I've
high
heard that
addictive possible.
Xanax, Rob, maybe like I don't know if you could speak to this, but I've always heard that people who like get like you know you use it very frequently, it can have like a rebound effect.
Sure.
Where the anxiety comes back.
Can be worse.
Yeah,
Almost like
because
once
you
it
become
wears
almost
off or
dependent on the
whatever.
drug.
You become dependent. You need more of it.
Yeah.
So
Or
some
you
people
need another
take bars
drug.
of it in milligrams. It's insane.
Or you become, it makes it. It's like what do you call those drugs that make you start taking another drug? There's a word for
Like
it.
Gateway
the side
drugs?
effects of
Like a
those
gateway
are-
drug to start. Like you start taking Valium to get come
Again,
down.
I'm,
And then you
I
have
I don't
to
think
take-
you. I think it's you start at like weed and then work your way.
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah,
but
it's a little
I
bit
think like
different,
people, you know, in the Hollywood, you're talking about California and Hollywood. How many Hollywood actors and actresses, musicians have died from overdoses of sleeping pills because they're taking amphetamines during the day to keep going, and then
right.
they're taking
And then
sleeping
they
pills
of course, right.
to go to sleep at night.
Right.
You know, and it gets
You
worse.
see
and
that a
worse
lot
and
of
worse.
with ADD meds that people abuse those and take Xanax at night or lorazepam at night to go to bed.
That's what you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's
Talking
like
about.
back and forth. And
Yeah.
don't think that doesn't confuse your body. What do you think your body's going through when it's like up,
Yeah,
down,
up,
Right,
down.
right,
up,
right.
down?
Yeah.
So the thing, okay, so one thing to look out for, you ever see anybody, those are short-term medications. you're going on a flight somewhere. 100%. Lorazepam is a great medication for that. Someone that has bad anxiety, you shouldn't be prevented from going somewhere in life because your anxiety is so bad. And I know what that's like. I know it's like to be immobilized by anxiety.
Yeah, same.
You have to live the life. So absolutely, those medications, there's nothing wrong with taking that medication to do that. Or you have a one-time thing that you have to do it and you need that medication. There's a problem when you have general anxiety and you're taking a medication like that for 10, 12, 15 years. That's a problem.
Exactly.
There are better ways to handle that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why I wanted to discuss this because it's been obviously Joker's been all like over the news cycle, and unfortunately not because it's a good movie or because of the fact that it's done well at the box office. It's because of the controversy that came out recently with a lot of the fears over this movie possibly leading to some dangerous situations and people being and creating some motivations for people to commit very violent acts. So I mean, it's definitely a rough thing. We have a little thing like in going back to it, basically the controversy for those of you who aren't aware, essentially what had happened is the Joker movie premiered right at the Venice International Film Festival, right? Obviously in Italy. And it was like completely amazing. It was praised. There was actually an 8-minute standing ovation at the end of the movie. And like the critical praise in Italy was unbelievable. It actually went on to win the Golden Lion, which is the, I guess, top prize at the Venice International Film Festival. Okay. And of course, immediately it was like the top contender for like Best Picture, and there was Oscar, talk and all that. And it was completely blown. Everybody was loving it. Now, there was one person for Time Magazine, and this is what kind of started it. This one person did write, a journalist for Time Magazine wrote that it's a little bit uncomfortable to have to feel sympathy for the character who's in the movie. His name is Arthur, who is a troubled lamb, and it feels like the movie is glamorizing Arthur, even though he has very violent behavior. And but that was kind of it, right? Then it comes to North America, and it was at the Toronto International Film Festival. It did not get the same kind of praise. As a matter of fact, it actually drew a lot of criticism, and a lot of people were not too happy about it. They really felt like this movie had the potential to quote inspire acts of domestic terrorism. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where it all started. So,
and it was causing problems, wasn't it? Like in the theaters and stuff. Like there were different places that you couldn't go into the theater with.
Well, that's like farther down the line. This is even before it even came out. This is actually back in September. So the movie just came out I think 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So I mean, it's not that long ago. It's like less than a month ago. Back on September 20th, it all kind of started going down the hill. Joaquin Phoenix, this is back to the whole interview thing. He was in an interview with the Telegraph, and they asked him the question, are you concerned with any, with this movie inspiring any kind of violent acts, and do you think it could lead to, acts that, have potentially tragic results? And Joaquin Phoenix just says to him, why would you even ask me that? No, and he just got up and just walked out of the interview.
Really? Wow.
So of course that was weird. Of course it just kind of spiraled, and then that clip blew up. So then people started thinking about it, oh yeah, why? So then the big thing, and what I think really kind of put it into the news, was that on September 23rd, 5 family members and friends of the 12 victims of the Aurora, Colorado, theater shooting, they wrote a letter to the chief executive of Warner Brothers, basically saying, quote, they wanted to remind him that, quote, a tragic event perpetrated by a socially isolated individual who felt wronged by society has changed the course of their lives forever. And basically, the letter went on to, ask the studio to withhold campaign contributions to political candidates who accept money from the NRA. They wanted them to use its political clout to lobby for gun reform, and they also wanted the Warner Brothers to donate to gun victim charities and gun violence intervention programs, right? So it all blew up, and of course, that's what really came down on Warner Brothers hard. And then, Todd Phillips is getting hit with, questions in every single interview he did. And then, of course, a lot of the reviews start coming out. And then all of a sudden, this movie that was at one point won the Venice International Film Festival Golden Lion, was critically praised, is taken some serious critical, hits. Like it's falling down. Like I think on Metacritic right now, if you look it up, it's like a 57 right now. And I was like, that is completely
That's
like
way
not
off
fair.
base, right? Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
I get the feeling about it and the fear that it might potentially incite in people, but it's I think that
There are a lot of
it
movies like that,
completely blew up.
though.
Yeah, exactly.
What about that whole long ass series of friggin' the one where they go around for one night and they do whatever destructive.
The Purge or whatever.
The Purge.
Yeah.
5 of them.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right. Yeah.
That's a
That
pretty
was
horrific idea.
That's
Exactly.
I think it's an awful idea. I don't even know how that movie is.
I really
successful.
hate that
think
movie,
it's-
honestly.
I do too.
I don't
think
know,
it's
man.
It really
so
bothers me.
Stupid. It bothers
I
me
just
too.
don't like home invasion movies to begin with. They make me kind of sick.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, me too.
Yeah.
And I think that, just people were completely judging this movie based off of fear. And I think, I understand the fear. I get it. But
Yeah, I understand where it comes from. I
completely
mean, obviously,
misjudge
but
the actual movie.
that's. I don't think a movie like that is necessarily going to prompt somebody to go do. People who are going to do that are going to do it.
Yeah,
Whether there's
right.
a movie out about
I-
Joker,
I-
there's plenty of, like you said, Rob. There's plenty of other things out there that are just as bad or worse than the Joker movie is. That
Yeah.
if it's going to prompt somebody, it would have already done.
So, as I mentioned, Mrs. Augustus Sauer owned the place like 1895 to 1928 or so. I had mentioned she got into trouble and had to sell the place to the guy affiliated with the mafia. I didn't really expound on that. So, she was a widower, emigrated from Germany. Husband passed away in New York City, moved up out of the city, I assume to start over, had an adult son. Prohibitions going on, as I mentioned. Yep.
Yes.
She maintained trapdoors for the event of a raid.
Okay.
Yeah.
What the old customers and her descendants said, the reason she had to sell the place wasn't that she got into trouble for bootlegging. Rather, she had an abusive boyfriend and an adult son and trapdoors.
And trapdoors. That's
And
not
so-
a good combination right there.
Things are,
Yeah.
sort
Not
of
a
taking
good
a
I haven't seen
dramatic
that
turn.
movie yet.
Yeah, I kind of tried to
The
get into that a
abusive
little bit. It
boyfriend,
wasn't
the
working.
adult son, and the trapdoors. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
What they said is one fine day, her adult son, who apparently skips, came home to find his mother and her boyfriend arguing in the old kitchen where the trapdoor was. He insults his mother in front of him, so the son hits him, goes over backwards, grab onto your drinks, and
Oh, and even good sound effects too on the
Ooh.
table. Yeah.
Oh.
to quote a state trooper friend of mine, oh yeah, we call that a one-hit kill. You knock someone off of a stoop or something. Went over backwards, broke his neck in the trapdoor.
Oh.
They buried him somewhere behind the barn. I-84 did not exist then. This might, late 20s, I guess the Paladin Club would have existed then, the golf course. But you would have had in that valley a swamp and a garbage dump. So buried him out somewhere
In that mess. Sort
Yeah.
Of, I guess.
and
Right.
sold the place to the guy affiliated with the mafia.
That place is
Oh, wow,
now
really?
our podcast studio.
Yeah, yes. Now that's where we have our podcast studio now.
I think the telltale heart. It's
buried
under the
over.
floorboards.
Well, yeah, and as I said
Edgar Allan
early,
Poe
a
up in
couple
there.
years after hearing this story, my dad and my grandfather are building the modern kitchen, and in the old kitchen closet, under the linoleum, is the trapdoor
hear this.
with the bottles in situ.
And he just stumbled across it, like
Yep.
was it like it was during the renovation, obviously, where he,
Yep.
Well, hold on. He's seen this?
Oh yeah, he saw it there. Unfortunately, right now we have like a gigantic wine shelf on top of the trapdoor.
Wait. You saw the trapdoor, not the body still decaying. in
Oh,
there.
God.
No, I
not the
saw
body.
no, not the
He's like,
body, not the body. That, no,
Okay.
unless it was a
Let's
different.
just clarify.
It could have been a different
Actually-
body though. When
Yeah,
I saw.
no, that wasn't his body.
That's,
Yeah,
the
no.
old, that's the old gag. It's still the old body.
The old decaying body gag.
Gets him every time.
Surprise! But actually, as I mentioned, like 2010, 11, we were doing renovations. My cousin and I, we were taking out old floorboards in what's now the waiter's pantry, what used to be the kitchen, about 10 feet on the other side of the room from that trap door, where there had been an ice machine for many years, and it ruined the wood. And underneath the floor, and this is in the one-story wing, which is not over the basement. That
Okay.
was probably built like 1870s, we think.
All right.
But in that little, foot of crawl space, there is a 6x3 cement slab that's
Oh,
not
God, stop
connected. Not connected to the foundation or the old brick chimney for where the wood burning stove was. And it's still framed in the scrap wood with that like sort of late 1800s like chalky acid base paint. Oh, that's where Coonan the boyfriend died over there, and this must be Coonan.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
just for
goodness.
context, 6x3 is probably about roughly the size of an adult
coffin.
For
that's
our
funny.
European friends out there.
Esophagus.
sarcophagus.
Sarcophagus,
Yeah.
that's
there you
And
go.
so, we call my dad. He's like, well, is it in the way of the new floor? Like, what? No, that's not why we were calling it.
This man's a pragmatic.
Jump into it, man.
This all kind of came to fruition. The Yankees had always suspected the Astros of doing something.
Okay.
Because I remember, like, specifically in the postseason, you know what it started with? It was the Rays and the Astros were playing in the postseason.
Okay.
And there was a pitcher. His name was Tyler Glasnow.
Okay.
He's a prospect that was in the Pirates system. He had a game where he admitted it. He was tipping his pitches.
Oh, wow.
And actually, the Rays it was a tied series, and they were on pace to win it. And it was
really?
crazy because
Yeah.
the Rays they're like a
And
super.
this is in what, 2017?
Oh no, this is this year.
Oh,
This
it's
is
this
year in
year.
the playoffs.
Okay.
Oh, wow, okay.
All right.
So they were like a huge underdog team, super low budget.
The Rays were.
Like kind of a Moneyball team.
Yeah.
And the series was tied, and then all of a sudden, they score 4 in the first inning against Glasnow.
Right.
And people are like, "What the hell?" Like,
How?
So
Right, because
yeah.
he's probably one of the best pitchers
Yeah.
at that time or whatever.
He
and
was
it's
doing
like-
really well
Yeah,
that year.
yeah,
He got
yeah.
hurt, but in like the first month or two, he had like a sub-2 ERA.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah,
my
he was
God.
doing really good. It was like
Damn.
a breakout year for him.
Wow.
Okay.
But you could see in video he was tipping his pitches.
Okay.
Now, as they went through, and they played, the Yankees. I think did the Astros play the Yankees?
The Astros,
Yes.
They
this
did, right?
past season,
They
the
did. I'm stupid.
Astros
Yeah.
did play. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
So after that, the Yankees they were accusing of hearing a banging sound.
Right.
Now, as we went further into the postseason, the Washington Nationals went crazy on their preparation against the Yankees. They were like, "We have 5
Against
sets
the
of-"
Astros. Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
It's okay. No, it's all good. It's all good.
It's okay. So the Nationals and the Astros, the Nationals were like crazy with their preparation. They were
Really?
like 5 sets of signs. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
that makes so much sense. Okay.
And-
Yeah. Okay.
Then what happened is after the playoffs, a pitcher that used to pitch for the Astros, Mike Fiers, came out and said, "Yeah, they were cheating."
Wow.
Yeah. And
really?
so he was like, because he was saying, for me, I went to other teams and like they were 100% like stealing signs. And I think he mentioned about the camera. So the big thing is that they were allegedly using a camera in the outfield to look
Right.
at the
Yep.
signs that the catcher was giving and
Sure.
then relaying that with a banging on a trash can in the dugout to the batter.
Right.
So what would happen is like as the sign it was like, put in,
Yep.
you'd hear bang, 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 and then the batter would be like, okay, off speed pitch.
Off
and
speed.
they
Right,
could adjust.
Yeah. Right.
So Mike Fiers, who had played on the team, said, yeah, this is a problem and this is not how the game should be played. I've been telling my teammates about it when we go to play the Astros. Because, this is like, you have to be prepared. Because if you're coming in from AAA as a pitcher
yeah.
and you're trying to, you're losing a job.
Hell yeah.
Because of
Of
this.
course. Absolutely,
And
man.
It pisses me off. It
Yeah.
probably pissed him off.
Yeah.
And so that opened up just the investigation came out. There was
Sure.
stuff saying that, they had wristbands
Yeah.
and freaking buzzers.
Right.
See, yeah, that's weird. I mean, I was reading an article here all about the timeline of the cheating things that
Yeah.
happened, and it's basically seemed like it started back in the early 2017 season, and then made its way through to this
In
past
the-
season,
yeah.
but there's no evidence, according to the investigators, of that the cheating
After they won the World Series.
after they won the World Series,
Yeah.
basically. But they do
Okay.
have information on the 2017 and early into the 2018 season,
Right.
with them doing things like garbage can method that was implemented, and the team
Right.
began to pump live feeds to the new monitor in a tunnel.
Yep.
Oh,
And initially
right,
tried
that's
whistling
right,
and
that's
clapping
right.
before
Whistling, yeah.
settling on the garbage can.
Right.
The scheme is called player driven, with current Mets manager Carlos Beltran mentioned by
Yeah.
name.
So
Both
that's-
systems were
so
used
that's
throughout
like-
the 2017
Yeah,
season.
let's not
So-
even go through the whole time because
Yeah.
I want to go through it progressively because the
Yeah.
whole big thing was that it was a big deal, right? And then when it first came out, everybody's talking about it, but then it's like it really has blown up, and especially in this past week because
Oh,
then
yeah.
they have the current what's going on right now, basically. If you want to go into that, Brian, I'm sure you're...
So what was, I think the craziest thing about this is what broke it open was a YouTuber.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
this guy, John Boy
right.
Media, and this guy had always gone back. He actually, I think he has a podcast. It's called Talking Yanks.
Okay, well, shout out to Talking Yanks.
Yeah, shout out to Talking Yanks.
We'll have to hashtag him on or whatever.
Yeah,
right? So,
Adam, what's up,
Yeah,
dude?
yeah, exactly.
So he actually he had always gone and like analyzed like at short MLB clips, broke them down, translated what like the managers were saying.
Yeah.
He posted this where he said like, when people were like, yeah, I don't think they did it, like people were doubting, he said no, 100%. He posted a photo of a White Sox pitcher. His name is Danny Farquhar. We've talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And he's like, he's pitching to this guy Evan Gaddis, who used to play for the Astros,
Right.
and he's throwing like changeups, really good changeups, and Gaddis is like fouling him off, and then he waves the guy, his catcher
up.
They got the fucking signs,
And you can hear him on camera, because like, was he mic'd up, or was he that like...
So no, you couldn't, but you could hear the banging.
Oh,
that was the
okay,
big thing.
okay,
You could
okay.
hear bing,
Yeah.
bing. The second they changed the signs, change up, strikeout.
Strikeout. He struck him out. Yeah. The whole thing, and like the guy Farquhar, like he said afterwards, yeah, like what did you say to your catcher? I said, they have our signs. Let's change it up.
So I love IVs from the beginning. I was a certified phlebotomist from 1993. And I'm really good at finding veins, right?
Yeah?
So
Show her those veins again, Joe.
even as
Yeah. You can see him on camera.
those you don't even need a tourniquet for. Like,
That's
like
hilarious.
You probably could you
Get a
really do it
close-up
without?
on
those are
that.
great.
You probably could do it without
You
turning it really,
could
right?
do without a
Probably do it.
tourniquet.
It wasn't like, if you were blind, you could do
I
it.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was an emergency room nurse, I was really good at IVs, of course, and I saw the transition from someone coming in, not feeling well, like crap, doesn't really know what they have. A lot of it is just viruses, not much. A lot of people get discharged,
Sure.
and very few get admitted.
Sure, of course. All right.
So I saw that after a liter or two of just normal saline, a little bit of oxygen, they were like,
Feeling so good.
I feel great.
You're a new person,
I
huh?
was like, I've seen this time and time again, year and year after again, different people, different ages. And research shows that a normal, healthy person only needs maybe 30 minutes
Okay, so double it
in
for
a
me.
day.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Only 30 minutes.
Okay.
When you're sick and you're not feeling well, obviously you can get about an hour or two,
Yeah.
but because what I do is elective and wellness
Sure.
and insurances does not cover any of this.
It's difficult. right?
You're paying by the minute.
Yeah, right.
So you get 30 minutes.
Okay.
And
Can we
trust
get a
me,
suntan too at the same time? You have
no,
training bed?
not there.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, we know that this absolutely is scientific and it works. If
Yes.
you look at the oxygen chambers are been a
amazing.
thing. People
It's
have
everywhere.
saved their
It's everywhere.
appendages.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
true.
Said, yeah.
They're about to get a foot or something amputated. They go in there, those chambers, and some of them save them.
Yeah.
So the oxygen
So-
bars actually started, I believe it was either Japan or China, where the air pollution is so bad that
Right in Wuhan province.
somebody thought of a place to get oxygen. And then, as it goes to like America,
Yeah.
we just twist
That's
it and
nice.
make money out of it.
Flavors. Flavors. Dun, 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 dun.
Right, so you twist it around, put
Menthol.
so then you add aromatherapy, which also does work.
So some of the services, she can break them down for us, but there's a hydration one, anti-aging, hangover, sports energy, Myers cocktail. Tell us about the Myers cocktail.
That's the one that started it all, I believe.
Okay.
It's from a doctor that created this. I think it was in the 70s. But IV drips has been around since the 1800s. Like, it just wasn't mastered, or they didn't
Right.
know how well it can do with different symptoms that people have.
Okay.
So Myers cocktail, it has everything in it. That's why it's the most expensive one.
Yeah. It's the normal thing.
But-
Complex, anti-inflammatory, vitamin C, magnesium, calcium.
Yeah,
got a
so
lot going
with
on
the
there.
anti-inflammatory, just got to be careful, because it's like if you're taking for older
Kidneys
people,
or
or someone's taking Coumadin or
Okay.
aspirin daily, they can't get that. So
Joe, are you doing any of
I'm
this?
doing turmeric.
Turmeric.
Turmeric?
Yeah.
I take turmeric every day for my
That's good.
tinnitus.
It's
So you also do iron boosters, right? So B12. What's CQ10? I don't know that one, Ross.
CQ10 is also considered a antioxidant.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
there's a couple of them that can't be put in IVs. It has to be IM.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of them.
Those are intramuscular boosters, right?
Yeah.
So where well, most of these, most you could probably do in R, but you might have to do in the glute, right? You like those?
Yeah.
Do them right in the glute.
Yeah, you always have.
Could do that.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
I like to be complex in the glute
Right.
myself.
So can I have to ask, as a young man, the weekend cure is your title for the hangover, the hangover treatment. I have to ask, so have you administered this yet so far or
So
not?
far, no.
Not yet? All right, well.
Well, you might have some.
But
Getting in on the ground floor here, man.
But on my
go.
website, I had a coworker that her son was with the flu for the second time. It's also on my
supportive
website.
therapy.
Oh, wow.
And I put it on Facebook, and
Yeah.
it got so many hits. It was crazy.
Yeah?
It's
Why don't we link
That's
the
amazing.
Facebook page?
Yeah, definitely
yes,
link the
we
Facebook
will
page.
link that.
Brian's gonna hook us all up.
Yeah.
I didn't even. That's a great point, Rosalind. Earlier you mentioned viruses. How much of that is supportive therapy, right? So these could be
That's
good
it.
for a lot of that,
That's
right?
it. This kid, the mom said, I can't, he's not drinking. He hasn't urinated all day.
Yeah, terrible.
He's dehydrated. I don't want to go to the emergency room because I'm going to be there for hours.
Yes.
All he needs is hydration.
Yes,
And
yes.
so what'd you
And
give
I
him?
was home. and I'm
right.
like, okay, not a problem. I'll meet you at my place.
Uh-huh.
So we met there about 6, 7 o'clock at night.
Right.
And after a bag and a half, this kid whips out his phone. And I'm like, someone's feeling better.
Wow,
and
that's amazing. Oh my
it was
gosh.
it was
Really
awesome
incredible.
to see it. I'm like,
Right.
this
Right.
is why I do
to
this.
watch it happen.
And let me
is
tell
why I
you
do
guys,
this. And
if
this is a
you haven't looked here,
12-year-old.
who hasn't